Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Nedling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome everyone to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Nedling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to take topics as well as guests and bring them to you to be able to grow your business and take it to the next level. And the person that we have to do that today is Dustin Bogle. And he is going to be talking to us about his charm sales system. We'll get into that in a minute, but let me tell you about Dustin. He is a sales expert that helps businesses to harvest more sales from their leads using his fortune follow-up system. He has a sales system that doesn't make you feel slimy salesperson and shows you how to come from a place of serving. I love that. Dustin has been an entrepreneur for 15 years and will help your audience to solve their problems once and for all. So definitely a topic that we all need to hear. This one quarter has gone by in our year, and so the realization is for a lot of us, we have to roll up our sleeves and work harder.
Yes.
And that means making some more calls. The title of this episode is The Charm, C-H-A-R-M. We'll get into what that is. Sales system that will help you close 92% of the deals. Please welcome Dustin Bogle. Am I saying your name right? Is it Bogle or is it Bogle?
You are saying it correctly. It is that long ago. So thank you. Glad to be here, Vicki. I'm amongst friends who love talking business, sales, and leadership. Those are some of my favorite topics. So I'm excited to dive in and help your listeners to grow their business as well.
Well, before we get into the hard questions, let's just do the simple one. Where do you call home? Where do you live?
Today, I live in Dallas, Texas, but that is just 2 years ago. I'm originally born and raised in California, Southern California to be exact. And so I'm part of those people that left. And it's because just the cost of living, the traffic, it just was getting out of control. And even I went and visited my team because I still own 2 gyms in California just a few months ago. And I said, holy cow, I do not miss this. What a nightmare. And so, yeah, I love it. The people are so kind. The weather's beautiful, but man, I do not miss sitting in my car and losing so many hours of my life watching bumper light or
I know.
lights. So
it's funny.
Yes.
Another thing that we have in common, for the corporate job that I had spent on a few stints time in San Diego, Northern California, and so when I also, for my Toastmaster international appointment, I had been given California. So this Georgia girl got to experience California a couple times, and the traffic, as you say, I never planned 2 meetings in a day because I knew I was going to be late for one of them.
Yeah.
So what is the charm sales process, please?
Yes, absolutely. So this kind of came up because I guess I just always had this natural proclivity to sell, but I didn't know it was that word. When you're kind of like a kid, you just do the things that come natural to you until someone puts a label on it.
Yeah.
And I think we as adults tend to label things more than even kids because we like making things easy to understand and easy to translate to other people, communicate. So you start saying like, oh, this person's this way or that's that way, or even us. We don't go to California, it's known for traffic, like label it. And so when I was just closing, I didn't put any type of special package on it until one day one of my admins was overhearing me, and she's like, Dusty, you know what? You're really good just closing people with charm. And so I just never labeled it that way. And I said, I like that word. I'm going to actually see if I can make it work as a sales package or sales process. And I'm going to work it in. So
Nice.
I did. And so this is how it works. So the first thing I always did was I wanted to get my client to crack a smile. So that's C, get them to crack a smile. And so there, I got Vicki.
Yes.
But immediately when the guard is down, it is so much easier to then relate and start talking and being to people and connect. But when you come in and you're very stiff and your arms are crossed, good luck trying to sell that person. I don't think you will. And I don't think I ever got somebody that was stiff and cross-armed in front of me. So I'll make a joke about myself. I'll make a joke about what's going on, current events, the weather, my kids, whatever. I'll make a joke about something to just get you to smile, to put you at ease. Because again, where I learned my sales reps was in fitness. And so this was already an uptight sale. This is not a fun sale. It's like dental or car insurance. Like nobody really wants it, but you know you got to have it. And so I know I need to get them to crack a smile. So that's C. H is now getting into how can I help you? That's H. So what are you here for? You're here to lose 20 pounds. You're here to learn about my product or service. How can I help? And now you get to learn how you get to be of service and let the person start to explain their problem. Usually though, that first prompt just gives you the surface answer. That's where the A comes in, which is ask for the pain. So now that you told me what your problem is, tell me more about how it makes you feel. You got to really dig in here for the emotion questions. We all know every good sales trainer tells you that. Dig into the emotions. Nobody buys from logic. So what's the two emotions that we really get excited about? Pleasure and pain. Most people don't make buying decisions from pleasure other than maybe vacation and then junk food, pizza and cookies. These are pleasurable purchases. But usually when you're hiring a business, there's pain, right? That's why we mostly hire a service or buy a product. So where do you feel this pain? Do you feel it in your body? Do you feel it in your head? Do you feel it in your lack of sleep? Is it causing problems in your marriage? You know, like, is it taking up all your time in your day? Where is the pain? Like, show me, tell me. R is now you get to reveal your solution. And if you've done a really good job in the product development stage, you've really put some time and energy into building this for that perfect avatar. Well, whatever they just said at the previous two, which is the how can I help and ask about their pain. When you reveal your solution, it literally should already have what they brought up in those first two. And if it doesn't, you need to do more sales reps and more sales presentations, and then design your product to solve the problems of your avatar. So now that I get to share it with you. So again, when I'm talking to my avatar, it's tending to be a woman 35 to 65 years old is like my ideal avatar. So when I'm sitting down and she's telling me, I'm busy with my career, I got kids, it's all gone to crap since I've had a desk job and I got married and I'm coming up on 40. I'm just like, I'm wanting to hear what she says, but I'm like, I'm so excited to get to my solution because I already knew she was going to tell me all this. I just knew, and my solution has all the stuff she needs to get her there. But I want to do that digging. Finally, M is make a sale, and this is where a lot of sales reps make a huge mistake, and that is where they just say the closing line with a very vague, open-ended phrase. So they might say, all right, so just let me know when you're ready to get started. Like we can begin whenever you're ready. And that just puts the ball in their court. You really just let them out the back door. They're going to leave. You just let them escape. And so you have to make a very clear ask for the sale. You got to say, are you ready to get started Monday? Would you like option A or option B? And a direct ask for the sale. Such a rookie mistake, but it still happens a lot more than I'd like. So that is the charm sales process, Vicki.
That's awesome. So I did take notes. So crack a smile. How can I help? Ask for the pain. Reveal your solution. Make a sale. Charm. Excellent. Yes. I'll put those in the notes too for you guys.
Thank you. I thought you'd like that.
I do love the next statement. You say, fortune follow-up system. And the old saying is, there's fortune in the follow-up. And again, a lot of times, we hate sales to be salesy, and we avoid the follow-up because of the pain that we feel sometimes in making that call,
Yes.
because we're afraid of the no or the rejection or the whatever. So what is, in your system, the fortune follow-up system?
Yeah, great question. And so even going a little bit into psychology here, the reason people don't do follow-up is because they're afraid of the no, but they're also afraid of the yes, which is I have to now get on a call with this person and sell them. And they're like, oh crap, they answered the text. Shoot, now I actually need to call them and sell them. And so like if you don't like sales, you're unconsciously not wanting to do follow-up and you're avoiding it.
Mm.
And so that's why this, it's weird. Maybe this is me being the sales version of a garbage can man. That's kind of like the job nobody wants. I love the dirty work. I love the follow-up. And that's what we do with our company, Gym Reinforcements. We do follow-up for gym owners. And so we're like, you don't like the dirty work, call me and my team in. We will do your texting, calls, emails, social media DMs. We come in, we do it all. And it wasn't until recently that, people in even other industries started reaching out. A landscaper say, hey, that's cool, you do that. Would you try it? My business is like, all right, yeah, sure, I don't mind. But it wasn't why we originally did it. It was originally from gym owners. So essentially, that's what I do. And so what do we do that works, that once we get in, we can make more sales appear out of thin air and find this fortune in the follow-up? There's three main systems I'll teach that all kind of fall under this umbrella. So the first one, if you're running paid ads, which definitely you should, if you are a business owner, you got to feed your business leads, is what I call the 5x2 follow-up system. Okay, so 5x2, 5x2 follow-up system. What that is when you get a new opt-in in the first 5 days of them opting in, you reach out to them twice a day. So you do an afternoon and an evening, an afternoon and evening, 5 days a week, 5x2. And they both should be a different form of communication. So it should be text, call, email, DM, text, call, email, DM. And so essentially you're trying all the different channels because everybody responds on different channels. I've had some people are more email people and we're going back and forth, some are more text. So if you just focus on one, you're going to miss out on a huge amount. So the fortune's in the follow-up, but also learning all the different ways people communicate, right? So that's the best way to get your hot leads. When they're hot and they just opted in, you got to be quick to respond to them, and you got to be very high in your frequency in the beginning of the relationship. You can lower the frequency as time goes on, but I cannot tell you how many small businesses in America struggle because they just simply don't have the follow-up dialed in on just brand new leads. This is like business coming to them inbound and they're not following up with them aggressively. So that's the first system called the 5x2. The second is your big database. Since you've been in business, you've collected this big database of leads. And so I call it the 10% blast system. And so what it is you just take 10%, you sliver off, do the math. If you have 5,000 contacts, just cut out 500. And every day, you just send a reach out to that amount of people. Because if you did the whole list, you'd probably be overwhelmed with how many responses would come in. So you gotta make it manageable. And so if you do an email blast to 500, do it. If you do a text blast, do that. But just reach out to these people, keep them warm, give them value. You shouldn't just be pitching the whole time. You could say, hey, I made this free PDF. I ran this workshop recently. Give them something that's gonna help them. And then every now and then you can sprinkle in and ask as well. So that's the second one, the 10% blast system. The third, this is an easy one, especially if you're in the service-based business, is the trial duplication system. And so essentially what it is every time you make a sale, after the sale, the person is on a high, right? Like they are excited. They can't wait to see the results of what they just bought. That is a prime time to ask for a referral. And you can easily duplicate that person into another person for free if you just build that into your process and make it so that you ask every single time. Right now, we are seeing an average of 3 out of 10 people will give a name, phone number, and email of another person that's interested in the same service if you are routinely asking. If you do not, you get 0 out of 10. but that's 3 more people to me you could be helping with your service or product if you just ask. So, again, if you're very convicted in what you're doing, I could tell a story on this later, Vicki. This is the number one thing that really plagues somebody from growing their business is they think they're convicted, but when I challenge them, they really find out that they need to be more convicted in what they do.
Yeah, more consistent too.
Yes.
So the next question is an odd one. We didn't talk about this in your bio, but how did pro wrestling help you help you in this business entrepreneurship that you have?
Yes. So it's very, very funny. People ask, hey, if you're in fitness, how did you get into fitness? Well, I say, hey, actually, fitness led me to the gym and to a pro wrestling ring. And they're like, how did that? So how did that happen? So back in high school, I was not this very outgoing person that you see in front of you today. I was actually overweight, shy, lacked confidence. I was actually 260 pounds. And so very overweight, looking down, hoodie on, just wanted to hide from the world because of how I was in my body. And one day I get a tap on the shoulder from a kid sitting behind me who was very fit. And he said, hey, I would love for you to come to the gym with me. I go every day after school. Do you want to come with me? Because it was a very not like judgmental invite, I decided to take him up on it. It just sounded like we were going to hang out. I didn't know all this heavy weight needed to get moved around. And so we do a workout and I'm feeling incredible. I have endorphins are rushing. I'm feeling a pump. I'm feeling amazing. And so I decide, hey, I'm going to commit to this thing. And I proceeded to lose 60 pounds of body fat. And I just felt amazing. And I had visible abs and I saw my arms were defined. I said, oh my God, this was a great gift, but it's not about me. I want to help other people achieve this because my life just feels like it's going to be a whole different life just because of what I've done to my body. What could this do for other people? So I'm like, will they take back their marriage? Will they now have the confidence to ask for that promotion? Will they take the risk and open the business? Because confidence is that like real courage, not liquid courage. We all know what that is. The real courage comes from how you feel in your body. And I feel like a lot of the fear we talk about exists because of our body. Like we're like, what are they gonna think of me? But what is me? Me is our body, right? And it's not like your skills. I can't see your skills, but we often attribute what we know and who we are to our body. And so I was just like, I want to help people transform their bodies because it will transform their life. And so what's funny is that same friend who tapped me on the shoulder, invited me to the gym. Now he's like opening up curtain number 2. He's like, do you also want to come to my backyard? My dad built me a ring. And I was like, what? Who is this guy? What do you mean you have a ring? I go to his backyard, legitimately a 16-foot by 16-foot ring. His dad was a contractor. And he said, my boys love wrestling and they're in their teenage years. I'd rather they're here in the backyard goofing off and doing this stuff they watch on TV rather than joining a gang, getting into trouble and doing dumb stuff. And so that was his logic behind building it. Well, we start doing all kinds of shows and putting on matches and eventually go on and get professionally trained. And I actually did it for 10 years. And in fact, it's funny, WrestleMania was this past weekend and I saw 4 old buddies that I wrestled at one point now in these main event matches that still do it to this day. And I thought, wow, that's cool that they got to reach the pinnacle of the industry. So yes, did it for a while, but eventually folded the cards, decided to go all in on fitness. It was a matter of my body, but also my mind. I was just not all in it like I was when I was younger. I decided I wanted to go all in on fitness.
Wow. So from the backyard dad project to the pro wrestler to the gym owner and now to transforming people around the world.
Yes.
Very cool. So what does money mindset, how was that involved in holding us back from being good business owners?
Oh man, this is a huge one. We all get kind of like brainwashed with money beliefs from our kids. So you can't pick your parents, you can't pick your upbringing and where you grew up, but you do get to pick if you want to continue to believe that stuff or not. And so I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, there was a lot of negative talk around money. So, you know, you heard phrases like, money doesn't grow on trees. What do you think I'm made of? Money, you know, the rich keep getting richer. And so these were things that, you know, my parents would say and my family. And so they're the people who are guiding you in life. So you trust what they're saying is truth. It's not till you get older, you start to challenge and say, I don't think they had it all figured out. I think they did the best they could, but they didn't know everything. And so finally, I started having my own beliefs around money. I started to see money does a lot of great things. It creates jobs, and it fuels charities and churches, and it allows to solve problems. And so I saw it as like a great thing. But there's so many things that when I talk to business owners that hold them back, one of the biggest things they don't realize is the lid on their business is always themselves. The business cannot grow higher than the business owner and the CEO has grown. And so until the CEO grows, usually the business does not grow. And that's why sometimes you'll even see a company will bring in another CEO and they'll go to another level. Did they change that much about the company? No. The new CEO just had new beliefs. And so I know, you know, if I'm talking to a gym owner, he's like, oh, I'm in a bad market. People are not interested. I'm like, dude, if Elon Musk took over ownership of your gym, would that gym still struggle? And let's say he cannot advertise on his social media and tell anybody. He just becomes behind closed doors owner, secret, hush, hush. Nobody knows he owns it. Do you think the gym will still struggle? And he's like, no. And I was like, why? He has different beliefs than you.
Yeah.
And so it's like the only thing that needs to change is your beliefs. And it's beliefs about money, beliefs about yourself, beliefs about your business. There's a lot of beliefs. It's a very, you know, intertangled web. But the biggest thing we can do on ourselves is self-work and challenge our beliefs and ask ourselves, do our beliefs serve us? Because most of the time they don't. We need to challenge them, right? So there's a lot that goes into that, but that's kind of my high level overview of attacking the money mindset is challenge it, dissect it.
We could spend a whole podcast talking about this because it is true.
Yes.
It does. And I love the lid on your business is yourself. It's a right down.
Always.
Okay. So we talked, I think, a little bit about this just a few minutes ago, 3 lead generation strategies. Would that fall into what we just discussed in the 3 main systems, the paid ads, or do you have 3 other things?
Yeah, there's 3 that I would touch on. You know, those were like the follow-up after the leads are coming up.
Okay.
Is the 5%, the 10%, and the trial duplication. Now, Dustin, where do I get leads so I can do all this follow-up? Maybe people are like, there's no fortune the follow-up because I got no leads. No one's reaching out to me. Like I'll call them 10 times a day, but I don't got anybody reaching out. So the first, if you're not doing it, I'm still blown away. People are not paying attention to digital marketing. They're not running ads on Facebook and Instagram. And to me, that's like toddler school for marketing these days. Like you cannot be in business and not be doing digital marketing. So that's number 1. And I know, again, people get really caught up that they're going to spend this money and there's no guarantee people are going to buy. Well, you got to work on your offers. You know, like if your offers are not good, they shouldn't buy. Honestly, like your product or your service is not sounding compelling or exciting. So make them an exciting offer, make them a really good offer. But yes, once you do have that great offer, put it out there, paid ads, you'll make your money back. No problem, right?
Yeah,
so
and the ads don't have to be thousands of dollars. I mean, Facebook ads, you can do a couple bucks starting and whatever.
Yeah. The second one would be asking. The best place for new business is old business. So ask your client for referrals. When's the last time you actively and engage them for a referral, and maybe even incentivize them? You'll give them a free t-shirt. You'll give them 10% off their next month. You'll give them a $50 gift card, something cool to get them off their butts to want to do this, right? You never know, like, if someone hit me up and said, do you got a name, phone number, email, I'll give you a $50 gift card, and I want to take my wife out to dinner, or there's something I've been wanting to buy on Amazon, $50. You might have just caught me at the right time buy it, right? Or
Yeah.
to bite on what you're offering. So do it. And I would also say this, the value of the gift needs to be pretty close to the value of the customer. You know, if you're going to get a $500 to $1,000 customer a month, you know, like on reoccurring, and you're going to give somebody $50, that is
Yeah.
not enough for the squeeze. Like, you need to give them huge gift, right? So it's all relative to your business. Obviously, if I'm a pizza shop and people are buying $5 pizzas, I can't give out a $50 gift card. I'd lose money. So again, make it right to your business model. And then the third and final one would be reactivation. Again, back to that old business, you know, new business is old business. How many times have you called your old customers? Because they know, like, and trust you at one point, but something changed. They got busy, finances changed, whatever. They wanted to try a competition. But do you ever reach back out? You know, you said you cared about this person at one point. Check back in with them. They're the easiest to come back. If I ever want to just get a quick bump in business, I know I need to make 10 to 20 phone calls to past customers. And immediately I know our revenue is going to be up higher because they're just laydowns. You don't need to do your sales pitch. They know what it's all about. You just need to, again, make them a sweet offer. And usually I'll be like, hey, your first month half off if you come back this week. And they're like, done, let's do it.
Yeah.
So
And
those are days.
I was just going to say, and also sometimes that no that you had the first time was because of situational, and if you don't keep dripping back on them, things change, and you want that to be top of mind.
Yes, absolutely. Good points, Vicki. I love that.
So how are you leveraging content to generate those leads and have them
Yes.
continue, you know, be consistent and persistent?
So that to me, the only reason I didn't put that in as a lead generator is because so many people, again, we're going to go back to fear of the camera. And they're like, you know, like, I want to make content. I know I should, but man, I don't like seeing myself on camera, and I don't like hearing my voice, and I don't like seeing photos of me. But do you notice all the terms there? Me, 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 me. I keep saying, well, you're being selfish, and guess what? You're holding your business back from making the impact it could. Your team is not getting the opportunities they could. If you grew your business, you couldn't be helping more people around the world, and you and your family are not having more money in the bank because you're being selfish. So what do you think you should do?
Yeah.
And that is why I say that whole, we are our own lid on our business, because I won't be on a camera. I refuse to bring in more money for my family. Like, what a jerk, right? So
that's why you send them to me, and I'll sometimes say,
yes.
hey, I love your product. If you don't want to talk about it, let me talk about it, because it's so awesome.
Yes.
You're missing such an opportunity. And it's amazing.
Yes.
People do absolutely hold themselves back from greatness.
Yes. But yes, in terms
Just
of content, make it simple and make it a style of content you love. I know you keep hearing things like video's the future, video. If you hate the camera, just write. If you like writing, if writing's more your thing, like, it's okay. Pick something you could be consistent with and you love, not what the world tells you to love. And then the second thing I would say is, when you can, block off a time of your week to be a content batch day, because otherwise you'll just get busy with like operational stuff. It's very easy. Send this email, call this customer, and you can use that excuse we all can use, which is, I'm too busy, I got no time. Well, how do I do it? I got 4 businesses. Tuesdays, you know, like later half of the day, I have a 4-hour block, and it's all content. Writing, filming, prepping, all content. So I just know I do get good organic leads from it, and that's why it's worth my time to put it out there.
Yeah. For me, I have like 3 days where I just have 2 hours, different times, but not when I know that I'm not going to be fresh or, you know, enthusiastic, because that will, for me, doing video, that's going to play out as well. And even writing, you know, if you're tired or frustrated, your brain's not going to be as good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a morning person. I like to write in the morning for sure.
Yeah. So time for rapid fire. So I think I know the answer to this from the story that you shared, but why are you at war with obesity?
It's because I had 2 aunts that died under 50 because of health-related diseases. and one was cancer, the other was stroke. And so to me, those were just like completely preventable deaths, all because of lifestyle related choices, which is basically saying there's things that I like to put in my mouth. And they say that there's things worth dying for and there's things worth living for. And so my question is sugar worth dying for? Because I think your family's worth living for, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I am at war, not because I'm mad at my aunts for what they chose to eat, because a lot of my family is very obese. But what I think was the missing component, they just didn't know. They grew up in the era of all these processed foods being released. And the American public was told they're safe, they're healthy, eat them up, sugar-free SnackWell cookies and, like all these, yummy foods, gobble them up. And now we know better. We know that they're not good for you and that you have to eat everything in moderation that does not come from the earth. And so now I'm on this giant kick to fight back against obesity. And it's not just because I have, these goggles on that only let me see obese people. The stats from CDC is we are on track to be 50% obese by the year 2030, which is not a long ways away, which is very sad. I mean, 1 in 2 people, and that is for the US. The global obesity pandemic is just 5 years behind that. They said 2035 will be 50% globally. Mm-hmm. That is a huge, staggering number. That scares me, and I'm worried that if we don't do anything to turn it now, like how much further could it go? Past 50. That's scary. So these are all preventable deaths, and that's why I choose to stake my flag on that hill and fight against that.
I know that for me, I had an uncle who got diabetes in his 50s, and he also had a back injury that caused him to have to stop working. But he chose to not, he just chose not to do what was right because he felt like he was wronged in other ways, and why should he give up the things that he loved, the pies, the Cokes, the Sprite, all of those things, that he ended up on insulin, ended up having amputations, and ended up choosing to not continue dialysis. And I had that call that I have a week to live. Would you take care of my affairs? Never do I ever want to have that call again. So I absolutely understand where you're coming from. The second piece is I see more and more young people, toddlers even, so overweight that scares me.
Yes, I agree.
So how do you keep gym owners being able to grow their business? There's a lot of competition out there. How do you help them?
The big thing we help them stand out with is their speed to lead. When somebody's finally hit that trigger and they have finally hit the point where they're ready to raise their hand and ask for help, you have to be like 911. You have to be ready to pick up the phone when they reach out and be there for them when they're in their moment of crisis and they need help. Because it takes a lot of courage, an overweight person, to finally put their hand up and say, I need some help here. I've tried X, Y, and Z and it didn't work, and I'm at my wit's end. So we step in and we do their follow-up. But one of the things we're proudest of is getting to a lead in 5 minutes or less after they reach out to the gym. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a metric more and more businesses need to chase, is speed to lead, and then following that 5x2 from that point forward. But yes, we take over their follow-up and help them get more members through that process.
Excellent. So what are the top 3 sales problems that you see for most companies?
Oh man, this is good. So it's lack of conviction, which I'll come back to in a sec, lack of accountability, and then finally, lack of leads. Yeah. So number 1, lack of conviction. There's a great story, if I have time to tell this, Vicki, about conviction. So there was a lawyer defending his client from being accused of murder. And so he had to stand up in front of all the jurors and say, my client is innocent, and here's how I want you to know that this is true, because the person he's accused of murdering is actually going to walk into the courtroom in 60 seconds. And the jurors are like taken aback. They're like, what are you talking about? The guy's dead. There's no way. So they look at the doors. They're watching like a hawk. 20 seconds goes by, 40 seconds, a full minute, and nobody comes in. So now they're confused. They're like, what's this guy, his game? And finally, he stands up and he says, aha, you all looked at the door. The law states if you have a shadow of a doubt, you have to vote not guilty. And you looked at the door, which tells me you had a shadow of doubt. You thought that there might be a chance. So now do what's right. Go back there and vote and come back and tell us that you're going to do not guilty. So they all kind of say, all right, we see your game. So they go and they vote and they come back and they read and they say, we find the defendant guilty. And now the defense attorney stands up. He's out of his mind. Are you kidding me? I proved you had, doubt. And that's when the foreman said the key line. He said, you're right, defense attorney. But we also looked at you and your client, and you guys were not looking at the door. And that's how we knew he was guilty. And so that's a great story in conviction. It's easy to, that whole do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
So he himself, you could tell he wasn't convicted. So I asked salespeople, do you even use the service you're selling? Do you use the product you're selling?
Yeah.
You don't got any conviction because you're not bought into what you're selling. I don't play golf. I'm a pretty good salesperson, but I'm probably not going to top the leaderboards because I'm not convicted about golf.
Yeah.
But you give me something I'm convicted about, like fitness, and I will dominate. And so that's the first thing most people are missing in sales, is just straight up conviction. You got to find convicted people to sell it. Then you don't even need to teach them scripts and all these techniques, because just their energy comes out of them. And that's what does all the selling, is their conviction.
Yeah.
Right?
Their excitement.
The second is accountability. Too many times salespeople are not good, like spreadsheets and entering stuff. And so they kind of like avoid all the back end stuff. They don't put in the notes and the numbers. And so they don't have a sales manager looking over them. They need accountability to keep them straight. They're also really good at selling, so they can also talk their way of why they didn't do something, and it'll sound very persuasive and good. And you say, no, you're not using that charm on me. You need to put these numbers in. And so accountability. And then the third is leads. Nothing makes them start screwing around with their time or starting to look for other jobs or just making them feel like angst, like just impatient, when the leads are slow. So if you're going to hire a salesperson, keep this person fed, because a lot of people say, oh man, I invested in a salesperson, I'm going to spend less on marketing. That's a great way to make a salesperson quit.
Yeah.
You got to invest in both. They need to be together. They're Batman and Robin. Invest in the market. In fact, double down on the marketing when you hire a good salesperson and watch it pay for itself.
Very true.
Yeah.
All right. So what are the lessons that you've learned with having 6 gyms in 6 years?
I know. You can see, Vicki, I got a little bit of an extreme personality. That was that's a whole podcast in itself. But I will tell you, that was an aggressive move, opening one a year.
Yes.
But the big failure I had from that is that I did not know the importance of leadership and culture.
Yeah.
All I scaled was leases, equipment, and coaches. Didn't have any leaders.
Yeah.
So nobody was holding the standards. Nobody was making sure our systems were being done the way they were.
Yeah.
And eventually it all came crashing down at me. I ended up having to close 2 and sell a third because I didn't know that this was something you needed. Honestly, I was operating out of business being naive, and just not knowing what I didn't know. And I just thought, well, this is what I did number 1. But what I didn't understand was I was the magic. I was the leader at number 1. I was magic there. And so when I went to 2 and 3 and 4, I was just like, okay, guys, just do things like I did number 1. And then I'm not going to be there. I don't get to just stay at home and put my feet up on the table. They needed a leader. And I was doing my best. It's not that I was just sitting home BSing around. I was driving around, but I couldn't get to that many in a day. So I only saw each gym maybe 2 to 3 times a month. And so essentially it just got really distilled. My leadership got distilled down, watered down heavily. And then the growth wasn't happening at the rate it was when I could focus. And it was one gym. I built one gym to almost $1 million a year annual revenue. And then I almost needed 6 gyms to achieve that same result.
Yeah.
So let that be, a word of caution. Anybody thinks more is better. It is not. Better is better. So, yeah.
So I spent a number of years with franchising, and what you're saying is absolutely true. I've seen it lots and lots of times, and the franchisor thinks that, oh well, I can just have store 2, 3, and 4 by somebody else, and if you don't have that passion, if you don't believe in it, all those things that you talked about, to be accountable, to be convicted, those all come into being a great leader.
Yes, absolutely.
So what's next on your path?
It's funny you say that. So I did just 2 weeks ago release my first book, Reinforce Your Gym.
Congratulations.
So it's on Amazon. It is bestseller status now. I'm proud of that.
Yay.
Yeah. It is not just for gym owners. I do want to preface this. There's 3 main sections: marketing, sales, leadership. All the lessons can apply to any business. So that is something that is exciting. And then if there is somebody who is a gym owner, 2 ways they can work with us. There's gymreinforcements.com, where they can find out more about our follow-up service, or they can go to yourfitnessempire.com, and that is a mentorship I'm doing with my business partner, Matt Wilbur. And he owns 8 gyms, and together we have 30 years combined experience.
Wow.
And so we're going to just basically teach everything we know to gym owners to help them build their empire, because we're at a stage where we're ready to give back to an industry that gave so much to us. And we know when gym owners win, communities win. The families are getting healthier. People are given full-time jobs. A lot of good things happen. So that's why we want to see them win so bad.
So good. I'm going to share my screen now. So if you have been listening in on one of our audio channels, please go ahead and grab that paper and pencil so you can get the website information. And the information you just shared, I will also have you we'll make sure that gets in the show notes so that it's available. Those extra links are available. All right. So we have, the website is easy to remember, Dustin Bogle, BOGEL.com. Again, that's https:// DustinBogle.com. He is on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, all by using his name, Dustin Bogle. I'll let him talk about what you can find on both his Dustin Bogle site and the gymreinforcements.com.
Yeah, so my website's basically a collection of my content. You'll see my blog posts, my podcast, my YouTube channels. So if you just like seeing, what I'm putting out there, and you like hearing what I'm sharing with the world, join me there. But Gym Reinforcements is where you can learn about our follow-up service, and again, specifically for gym owners. But if you're not a gym owner, I say, hey, I'll give you some free pointers and tips on how to help you grow your business. I had a roofer, a landscaper, and then even a life coach reach out, just say, hey, I suck with follow-up and I need some help on this. So I was happy to help them out. Even though it's not my niche, I could give them some broad strokes to help get them going. So yeah, that is that.
Awesome. So if you have not taken that screenshot, it is time to do so now. And again, I'll put in the notes the information about his book so that you can go to Amazon and grab that. So it's been such a pleasure talking to you about your passion to overcome obesity, but also how can we become more comfortable in our businesses to close more sales, to get our leads, and to really find the fortune in the follow-up. Love that. So again,
Yes.
It has been such a pleasure. You gave so many tips, so many really good pieces of advice. I took a ton of notes, and I'll try to share some of those on my social media post about this. But I encourage everyone, if you have not done so, to make sure that you go to his website to be able to see what resources he has. And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Nettling signing off.
Thank Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Netling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.